What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the DJ Gray podcast. With me today is the gentleman that is exploding all over social media platforms, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, where I mostly see him. And he is the new era mashup king. Ladies and gentlemen, from Boise, Idaho, this is Eric Rhodes. Eric, man, what's happening?
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for the intro, man.
Oh,
Make a man feel good.
right on, right on. You know, mashups have always been a thing, but you've taken it to another level for sure. And when I first saw, in fact, let me go back a little bit more than that. When I had first heard of you, it was in Nashville at the DJC, if you recall that.
Yeah, yeah.
And whoever was speaking say this gentleman has, at the time I think you had a 500,000 followers on TikTok, and I yelled out,
That was
like
you?
that was me. That was me, man. I thought you saw me. And you were also with DJ Precise, and at that time he had 1 million followers. I'm like, man, how are these guys getting so many followers? And
Yeah.
then over the years, hearing your story of how you got to that point, I'm like, okay, well, it's simple. It's hard work, it's consistency, it's all of that. But let's go back to the very, very beginning. Like, what made you go into DJ? How did you get started?
Yeah. So, I mean, I just always loved music as a kid. My mom was always playing, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so she was always playing a lot of pop records like In Excess, Madonna, Prince, like that kind of music. So I really got into it and was just obsessed with it, would play around with my parents' records and cassette tapes and just loved it. And then I got into junior high school, and I didn't DJ, but I always was like, I'd go to a school dance and be like, man, I kind of wish I was the DJ and not out here. And but I'd make mixtapes for the cars and CDs for, like basketball players when they're warming up and high school, that kind of stuff. And then in college, I saw a couple DJs play at this rave I went to, and they were doing four turntables, two DJs, all vinyl, just going back and forth with house records. And I was just amazed, like, what are these guys doing?
Wow.
They had the whole crowd just going crazy. I just had never seen anything like it. And I immediately, like the next day, because this was right before school was about to start. So I had my student loan money just hit the bank account and I took it and I went and I think eBay was just starting to be a thing. And I bought this used set of turntables, mixer, and a crate of records and just went from there. That was 2000.
On the
Haven't
student
looked back.
loan money?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's part of my journey.
Hey, it worked, man. You had that feeling, and you were definitely like into that scene. Okay,
Yeah.
so you said house music, because that's funny. That's how I first started DJing too, with house music.
Oh,
What
cool.
was like some of the producers or songs that you were into at that time? You remember?
Oh man, I'd have to like kind of marinate on that for a minute. But I remember this was more like deeper progressive house type music, but I loved like Sasha and Digweed and listening to those kind of
Mm,
long form DJ mixes where they're blending sounds together for like 2 minutes.
yeah.
I love that really like long form music mixing. But I never really continued that path. I liked party music a little better. So I started and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now, but I would just pick artists that had real fun house music, real funky, and that would attract like a general crowd that maybe didn't listen to house music. They would listen to one of my sets and be like, this is actually pretty cool. Like, and I
Right.
wasn't sort of boring them with the music that I loved, which was like deep house. And but so I kind of blended the two, styles together, I guess, back
Okay,
then.
so how did you know, so from house music, and then now, obviously, pop, country, all that kind of stuff. How did you venture into that field, and where did it take you to, like weddings or birthday parties?
Yeah, really the turning point for me was because I grew up on hip hop and pop dance music. Like I loved it all. Rock,
Mhm.
a little bit of country, honestly, not a whole lot back then. But around 2010, a buddy of mine we'd play clubs and stuff together. He started doing weddings and was like, "Hey man, I need you for a wedding." I'm like, "Nah, I'm not doing a stupid wedding." Like, no way, man. And he was like, "I'll pay you, I don't even remember the amount. It was probably like $500." And at the time, I'd go to a venue and play for 5 hours for $100 or 150. I was like,
Hmm.
"Done. I'll give you all the music. I'll give you, yeah, I'll set up the speakers. Like, you don't have to worry about any of that. Just show up and do your thing." And I was like, "Okay." And I kind of liked it. And that got me thinking, because I had a career in
Hmm.
TV news at the time. And this got me thinking, man, like, do I have to do this job? Like, I started doing the math. I'm like, man, if I went out and started my own job, my own DJ company, I could leave my job. And that just really, I felt this fire ignite. I'm like, let's go. And so I started exploring, if we're talking music, that's when I had to really explore more open format styles to please a wedding crowd and birthday parties
Right.
and all those things. And I actually liked it. I thought it was fun.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. We kind of have that similar path because I didn't want to do weddings either. It was like, man, I'm into my house, whatever. But then
Yeah.
you start doing that math, and it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can learn something. And I'm over here in Minnesota, and I had to learn, country,
Yeah.
big band, all that stuff, like all that. When I was a kid, I we used to watch, cartoons at a specific time, and when the Lawrence Welk show came on, we turned that off.
Yeah, I
And then
remember.
now, and then at that time, I'm like, oh man, I gotta learn some Lawrence Welk, like all that kind of stuff. It's kind of amazing how where the music and where the different parties or scenes that you play for can be possibly lucrative. So
Yeah.
okay, so 2010 you started your DJ company, and then what did you do? Did you expand, or how did that go?
Yeah, I want to go back real quick back to what you were saying though. Like, and I think what I liked about you, you said you had to learn new kinds of music, and I found that I was interested in that like exploration process. Like, ooh,
Hmm.
I don't know country that well, but I've got this wedding coming up, and I've got to learn about it. And back
Yeah.
then, you couldn't go, at least not for me. I wasn't aware of it, but you couldn't go to just a crate hackers and just find a country playlist and download it and boom, you've got it. It was like, ooh,
Right.
I've got to really learn about what music is good, what tracks are
Hmm.
good, what sounds good to me. Would I dance to that if I was like I put myself in their shoes? And I just
Right.
loved like exploring all that. And that was really fun for me. And I think that helped me want to do weddings and private events because I actually loved that process of learning. So
And then there's the other aspect of it. You got to get on the microphone. And another thing that I took from that interview that you did with Spider was that you attended a Toastmasters class.
yeah, so I started doing weddings, and at the places I played at, I never had to talk. I wasn't doing big clubs. I mean, I'm in Boise, Idaho. We don't have big clubs here. So I wasn't even not even hyping people up or anything.
Mm,
It was more mellow lounges and things like that. A few
okay.
dance clubs, but anyway. So when I started doing weddings, I was just doing music at first, and then of course I realized I had to actually get on a mic and speak. And there was a time when a bride said to make an announcement to
Hmm.
get everybody into this adjacent room for dinner. And I have my mic there, and I'm like, man, I got to tell everybody to like move. And instead of getting on the mic and easily saying, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for dinner, please make your way over to this adjacent room and we'll be over there in a minute, whatever.
Hmm.
Couldn't do it. I set my mic down and I just walked around and told everybody, hey, it's time for dinner. And I was so embarrassed after that because I was like, man, you are really like, this is getting in your way.
Yeah.
So at that point, had heard about Toastmasters, and it's a public speaking class that you join and go
Hmm.
to our weekly meetings. And I just did that for 3, 4, 5 years. I can't remember. And that just changed everything because then I built up my confidence to speak one on one, speak in public, all of those things. So
Right.
that was huge.
Yeah. My thing with Toastmasters was those table topic questions because you never knew what was going to be asked, and you had to think like really fast, really think, and
That stuff,
real quick.
yeah, that
And
stuff helps with these interviews, right? Like
right,
these
exactly.
conversations.
Right, right. It helps more with listening, just as with, your response. It's like, oh man, you think, and then you got like 2.5, 3.5 minutes to respond. It's like, oh man, how do you do that? Yeah,
Yeah.
real scary. And that also helps with, DJing weddings because you never know what's coming your way, and you got to be ready for it.
Yep.
So in that way, at least for me, it helped me to be, Johnny on the spot at all times, So, okay, so then, okay, you got the wedding thing going on. You're DJing weddings, you're speaking on the microphone. And then now with social media, what was the beginning or maybe the year that you parlayed that and helped flourish your career?
So I always liked social media. When Instagram came out, I was curious about it. Facebook for sure, but then Instagram was like I was really curious about it, and I would post here and there, and I started to think about like how maybe 2015-ish. I'm like, okay, how do I promote my business through this? Because I know you're supposed to be using it. So I would have promo videos made, and I would try to use stories when those came out, and I was really kind of exploring, and then kind of a pivotal moment. It's a longer story, but I'll make it quick. I Around 2014, 2015, I started to try to grow a multi-op because I had too many leads coming in, and I figured that's what the next phase is in this business. So I started bringing on DJs, and in 2019, it was the busiest I've ever been, and I was making. Let me back up. Busiest I've ever been, but I wasn't that happy, and I wasn't feeling like I was fulfilled as a DJ. I was doing more contracts and business, and it just was not very fun for me. And then at
Right.
the end, and I set it up wrong. I set up my business wrong. Percentages were off, and I did the math, and I made, just aside from my events, just
Mhm.
managing these 4 DJs, my percentage and all the work I did, I was making about minimum wage. And I'm like,
Mm.
man, all that work, and I don't even have any like financial reward for it. The guys are cool. I'm enjoying that, but for the most part, nah. And I'm like, okay, is this what I want to do the rest of my life? No. So what do so I really dove deep. I'm like, what do I want to do? I'm not
Right.
crushing it so much that it's detrimental if I let them go. So I ended up, but what I did decide to do is I dismantled my multi-op, let the guys go, and I
Hmm.
thought I'm going to focus on 2 things that I really love to do: DJing, right,
Right.
and marketing. I love marketing, so I'm like, I'm going to go all in on social media and all of that. So 2020 hit. That was like a time of weird for everybody. But 2021 was when I finally decided to go on TikTok and start making videos. And um, that was just, I wasn't even doing mashups. I was just doing transitions. Like, hey, this is a transition I do at a wedding. Check it out. And I would do one song to the next. And it took off. And it wasn't like a couple months before I had my first million view video. And then towards the end of the year, I had 100,000 followers. So like 6 months or so, I
Wow.
had 100,000 followers on TikTok. I'm like, okay, I'm onto something here. And then that's when I started getting more creative with what I was mixing. Because the more you put those out, you're like, okay, I got to challenge myself to be a little bit different, be more
Right.
creative. So I started mixing hip hop and country. That shot my page up to like 1 million followers after a few months. So in like a year, I got 1 million followers. And
Whew.
when I did that in March, that's when I started doing mashups, because my first country hip hop crossover was a transition. I was just mixing from hip hop to country.
Okay.
But then I was like, then I started to see like mashups are cool, like stems are coming out. Well, that was later, but that was it. Like I just started to get more and more creative. But for some reason, people just connected with me right away, and my page just started taking off. It
Yeah,
was
because
cool.
when I heard the numbers, I was like, what is this guy doing, man? Like, holy cow. But then I took a look, and of course, your most popular one is the Morgan Wallen with the regulators. And
Yeah.
when I heard that, I was like, man, he's making these 2 songs. He's not only is he mixing it, but he's rearranging both of these songs. It sounds like one cohesive song. And I was just like amazed by that. I'm like, okay, he's on some next level stuff. And then I started taking a deeper look. I started, you seeing that not only were you doing the country into like a hip hop or pop song, but you were doing like all genres. And I'm like, okay, he's all over the place, which is what I love. It's not just, country into hip hop or, all 80s or whatever. And then, man, your numbers just skyrocketed from there. I was like, man, this dude has the formula. Like, and
It's
and
crazy.
then all the accolades that you were posting, like you were getting, a lot of recognition. You were doing corporate events, weddings, everything, all of that, man. I mean, did you see that coming?
No, no. So when I did so right before the one you mentioned, the Morgan Wallen one, I did Cash Out and Chris Stapleton. That one got like 17 million views in
Okay.
March of 2022. And right after that happened, I got a call, no, it was a lead from my website for this lady who wanted me to fly out to the Virgin Islands. I think it was the Virgin Islands. And
Whoa.
we'll fly you on our private jet, bring your wife. We want you at our wedding, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what is even going on? Because at this point, I'm
Whoa.
just doing local events, right? Like I'm just
Right.
DJ in Boise. And that flipped my mindset. Ended up not working out, but that I think was meant to happen. So that it made me see bigger. And then that's
Right.
what got me excited. And I'm like, okay, that could be my life now. And that,
Yeah.
so I just kept going in on that. And, crazy thing though is, I have a website and I'm getting leads, maybe 5 to 10 leads a week for weddings and private events. When
Hmm.
that took off, I was getting hundreds. it was
Holy
it was
cow.
overwhelming how many people were just
Whoa.
hitting me up, hit me up, hit me up, hit me up. And most of them were low budget. So I had to put a barrier on my site so I wasn't so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
no doubt.
it was crazy, but I didn't see it coming. It happened so fast.
Oh, man, that just shows you, man, the power of social media, man. Everybody's watching you.
For real.
Holy cow. I mean,
It's nuts.
everybody. And not just, and not just the us regular folks, man, but you got, Brett Favre, Ken Griffey Jr., some other
Yeah.
stars. It's like, man, what is going on with you, man? I
It's so
was
cool,
like,
man. Some of my idols like
right,
following me, and I send them a message, be like, man, I grew up watching you. You're an icon. They're like, keep up the great work. It's not nothing crazy, but still just to
right.
have people be on the radar, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when Brett Favre give you a ring or, slide in the DM, whatever, that's got to be like, yo, I'm there. I mean, do you get some people that come across you, let's say like myself, that were like starstruck when they first saw you and realize who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's so weird to me because I'm just me, I'm just
Right,
I haven't changed much. And I don't think there's a reason to be, but I get why people get excited because they're like, "Oh, I watch your shit all the time," and
right,
like,
right.
yeah, you're so cool. Like, it's so cool to meet you, and I just embrace that and have fun with it, and take the photos and do all the things.
That's cool, man, because I know I must have I know I must have scared you when we were in Vegas. I'm like, oh my God, he's right here in front of me. I'm like, this is the dude right here. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that were really, really cool about that and even coming on this podcast, which is really cool.
yeah, for
Really
sure.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and I
So
remember it just to.
mhm,
I remember seeing people, when I started going to DJ conferences and such, and I'd see like some bigger names in our industry. I remember feeling a little bit starstruck. I'm like, oh man, that guy's big time. I
right,
kind of nervous to introduce myself, and then I realized, like, now this, I'm like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal to approach somebody like myself. Like, most guys are pretty cool and
yeah,
about it. So
yeah, because you have that cool demeanor, I mean, would you say?
I don't know. People say that. I don't know. I'm down to have a conversation or say what's up. Yeah.
Right on, right on. Okay, so now, I mean, what are you most proud of, like right now, with your career exploding? What are you most proud of?
Um, Man, so career wise, I'm just, I guess I'm proud of the the work I put in, right? Like, and just being consistent for so many years that it finally got me to where I'm at. I still feel like I have a long ways to go. I set new goals. I set, trying to do bigger things, but for now, like this is amazing. And so I'm just proud of myself for just pushing through it all and
Right
never
on.
stopping. So I'm proud of that. And then being able to, still have a wife and kids at home, and we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to navigate that right now, and it's going well. And
Awesome.
I'm proud of, being open to that with my wife and talking through it all and just making it work the best we can.
Right on. I mean, what was her reaction when you said, "Yo, I'm going to pursue this full time"? And what did she first think of?
So she's always been supportive, but also like, hey, are you sure this is right? Like, it's not, you're not just because I'm a bit impulsive. So she's like,
Okay.
you're not
Yeah.
just being impulsive here, whatever. But back in 2011 or when 2010, when I decided to start my business, it was a big discussion we had to have. And
Mm-hmm.
but like we're I feel very lucky that she's someone that's supportive, but also we know, like, we're able to communicate. So it's like, okay, I'm going to leave my job, but
Mm-hmm.
here's the plan. I'm going to
Right.
wait. I had to wait tables for 4 years on the side until I had enough income from
Mm-hmm.
DJing that I could leave that, so that there was never any real dip in income, or any scary moments like that. So
Right. Yeah, because you're not doing
yeah,
it every week
but
right from the jump.
yeah, exactly. And then with this traveling thing, it's like she's really supportive of that. Because I have moments where I'm like, I'm gonna be gone for 10 days. That's a long time to leave you just with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But she says, you got to do it. Like, this is
Oh
amazing. You
wow.
have to
Okay.
do
That
it.
that
And
that's a champion right there. And then what's her name?
Jolie,
Jolie. Jolie. Yo, shout out to Jolie.
that's
You
right.
know, because
Seriously.
every because behind a DJ is an incredible supporter and wife. Yeah, and my wife is just as supportive too, man. She's like, go ahead with it. I understand this is your passion, but don't forget my 20%. So we all good.
That's right.
Straight up.
That's right.
Straight up. Oh, okay, man. So that's cool. The family's on board with it. What's next for you? What's next for Eric Rhodes?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I hit this other like new level, so now I'm exploring what's next, honestly. So I've got some big corporate events that I'm doing, and I really like that. Pays well. I get to go to these, I went to Nashville a couple weeks ago and did this all week conference, and then sprinkled in some, a live show, a public show.
Okay.
Um, so I'm
Wow.
going to, I'm doing Orlando next week for a corporate event, but then right before that, I'm going to New York City to do a public show. So I'm kind of exploring, like, do I want to, what's that response? Do I feel good doing this show in New York City, and do I get a good turnout? And should I tour, or do I love doing like corporate? So I'm really in like this exploration stage. And then there's like production side. Do I want to be a
Hmm.
mashup producer? Do I get help and learn that?
Right,
So
right.
it's really,
Yeah, I know.
and going back to like being proud of myself. Like, I feel like
Hmm.
now I've I've earned something in my life where I feel like, okay, I built some confidence, and I go, okay, I can do whatever I decide to do. And now let's explore, feel it out, see what I like, and then I can go in on that. Um,
Right on. Man, that
so
that that's that is really, really cool, man. So I mean you can just pick your avenue and go with it. Love the mashup that you did for New York with the Wu-Tang. That,
yeah.
that's a
Thanks.
banger, man. That's a banger. I threw some flames on that. I don't know if you saw that, but
Yeah,
I throw a lot of flames. If I really like what I hear from you, we throwing flames on that, man. So
I
yeah,
appreciate that. I'm always looking for
yeah.
your comments now.
You looking for
Okay.
those flames
Where
now?
those flames at?
Man, them flames are daily, man. They're coming your way. They're coming
Thanks,
your
man.
way for sure. See, well, I did hear the low cash and the Chris Stapleton back too. I think you have reposted it. I may not, of course, saw it the first time, but I have seen like a couple of mashups that you reposted. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't catch this one from the jump in the beginning. I'm like, this works too. So now, and I don't know how many mashups you've done. You've probably done hundreds of them. you inspired me to do, a few mashups of my own.
Oh, cool.
It's what is your formula? I gotta ask. It's probably a corny question, but like, what is your formula for like? Okay, I'm gonna put this song together with this song.
Ooh, I wish there was like an easy answer to that, but
Hmm.
uh, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, so I just get inspired by
Okay.
what there's a few different ways. One, it's inspiration. So New York City. I have this thing coming up. I'm like, how can I promote New York City? And I'm thinking, what artists are in New York City? I'm looking up rock songs. I'm looking up artists. I'm looking up rap. And I thought I saw Wu-Tang. I'm like, ooh, Wu-Tang's cool. Maybe do something cool with them. And then I thought Beastie Boys. And then I started exploring like, okay, what songs would I pick? How they go together. So I'm in Serato, my software, looking
Hmm.
up BPMs and keys and energy levels. I'm just kind of exploring and then I'm putting those two together. I'm like, that sounds actually pretty cool. And I'm like, how would I add a third song? Let's see what I could do with
Right.
that.
You splash that Eminem in it. I'm like, yo.
The Eminem. And so it just it all varies. And sometimes, or maybe I'm on a kick where like uh Usher's playing the Super Bowl, right?
Hmm.
Like
Right.
that was announced like in August, I think. And so I
Hmm.
thought I gotta do something cool with Usher. He had a new song out and like good, and I mixed that with Dirty Diana by Michael Jackson. But that
Yes, I saw that too.
so it's like um usually that, or sometimes I'll be sitting on my couch and just playing with songs, and I'm just like, my wife can hear it, my kids can hear it, and I'm just
Right.
messing around. And sometimes it's trash, and they'll look at me like, nah. Well, like, but then you'll find a piece of gold in there, as long as you just keep exploring. So I don't really have a formula. It's
Hmm.
just always kind of working on it.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever hits you at the moment, whether it's a current event or you're sitting down just chilling, and I'll come to you. Yep.
Yeah.
So, man. So, okay. What is your final question? Because I know you got to run out. What is your meaning of success?
Well, yeah. That's Success is such a hard word to define because I feel like it's personal. For
Hmm.
me, man, I think if you asked me years ago, like 8 years ago, if I was successful, I would have said, no, not yet. And then what I'm doing now would be considered a success.
Hmm.
But I think it's like, I don't know. Looking back, I think I was successful back then because I was doing the things that got me to where I am now. So I think as long as you're constantly evolving in a good way and doing the right things and taking care of your family and earning a good living and just always doing your best to grow, like I think you're successful. Um, yeah, but I think I don't know. It's really hard question to answer. But I
Yeah.
think like I feel like I'm successful now, but I also feel like there's all these other things that I want to do and I won't be successful until then. So it's like
Right. There's always another plateau that you can
elusive.
reach. There's always, another level. And you really want to reach your full potential before you go out.
Yeah.
What is Eric Rowe's full potential besides just being the mashup king, or besides just being, production or putting on these events, whether you're in a nightclub or at a wedding. So it's definitely wherever you want to go, really. You
Yeah.
know, like they say, sky's the limit. I mean, I know that's corny, but it's true. It's
Yeah.
definitely true. One thing that did catch my ear, and I've always keep this in my head, like, how do I become $1 million DJ? Like, what's that formula like? Like, how many gigs would I have to do
Yeah.
to amass 1 million? And then if you can amass 1 million, then you can go to another million if you want. You
That's right.
know, but it's kind of like the Matrix, right? Once you step into it, how do I navigate around this matrix to get what I want to get to?
Yeah.
It's kind
Yeah.
of like feel.
and there's all these new things that come up too. So like you mentioned the
Mhm.
$1 million DJ, because that was one of my goals. You probably heard that on the Spider
I did
podcast.
hear it.
Yeah. I was like,
Yep.
how do I become $1 million DJ? And
Right. It ain't
you
nothing
know,
wrong with it either.
nah, I think it's great.
Right.
There's so many great things you can do with that money,
Right. I'm on your
helping
side with
others,
that.
helping your family, all these things. But
Right.
things come up though. It's like for me, it was like, how do I do that as a DJ, but then as a performer, which seemed
Mhm.
crazy. But that now that I'm reaching a point where that it's really possible, I see other things coming like brand deals and you know
Mhm.
I can start selling merch and like all this stuff. It's like, oh,
Right.
I've got this popularity now. What are people, not necessarily DJs, but what are people doing with that popularity in other industries?
Yeah.
What are other social media content creator influencer people doing? And so now I got to start studying them and going, okay, how do I make the most out of this other than just DJing, and start trying to figure all of that out so that
Right.
those goals can be reached and I can have fun doing it and still help people, like give them what they want, which is things like merch or whatever it is.
Right. Hats, t-shirts, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey man, but I want to thank you. I know you're a busy dude. I don't want
Yeah.
to hold you up. You're a family
All good.
man and all that. But hey, keep going, man. Keep going. You're an inspiration to me. And as long as I see you, man, I got nothing but flames and love for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it so much. Right back at you.
Right on, man.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, and I'll be seeing you on Instagram, right?
Yes, sir.
Hold on, put your Instagram tag on there. How do they get to you on Instagram and social media?
Yeah, all social media is at DJ Eric Rhodes. EricRhodes.
All right,
Yeah.
player. We got you, man. Go out there and do your thing. Are you coming to Wedding MBA in November?
I don't have plans to,
Hmm.
but you never know. If they ask me to speak again or something, I might. But
Okay, that'd be
yeah,
cool. That'd be
yeah,
cool. And if you do, look out for me in the hallway.
100%. I'll come running up to you.
Sure. Hey, man, take care of yourself, man, and thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. Thanks, Greg.
All right, have a good one.
See ya.